Major Garrett is inside a polling place in Bedford, New Hampshire. Major, we can hear a little bit of buzz going on in the background, and we've heard a lot about New Hampshire voters, particularly that they make their decision late. In fact, there might be some people in the line that haven't made a decision yet. What are you hearing from voters?
Well, there's a lot of excitement, and when we got here at 6:15 this morning, 45 minutes before polls open, there was a good long line outside of the gymnasium here at Bedford High School, the home of the Fighting Bulldogs. This is the doghouse here in the gymnasium, not a literal doghouse, of course, but one of hundreds of polling stations across the state of New Hampshire. The crowds have thinned out a little bit because the early arrivals wanted to vote and go to work. And the Secretary of State, Bill Gardner, has projected record turnout. That happens every 4 years in the presidential primary in New Hampshire. People here take it very seriously. Turnout could be as high as 62% of available Republicans, Democrats, and undeclared. And undeclared is kind of an interesting hybrid of voter in the state of New Hampshire. And I'm going to have my photographer, Paul, show you what happens here. People line up behind me, then they cast their ballots, and then they walk over to this table. Return to undeclared. What happens here in New Hampshire is you can be a Republican or a Democrat or undeclared, which means you can walk into this polling place undeclared and say, I want to vote in the Republican or Democratic primary. You get a ballot for one or the other, Republican or Democrat. You cast that ballot, meaning you participate in one of the party's presidential primary contests. Then you walk right over to that desk, declare yourself undeclared again, and then walk out, masking your true partisan tendencies. Here in New Hampshire, undeclared voters outnumber both Republicans and Democrats by more than 100,000. So it's one of the interesting contours of primary voting in this state, and political parties and individual candidates spend a lot of time trying to sift the other data that they can assemble about these undeclared voters and where they're likely to land on primary today. The expectation here in New Hampshire is many will participate in the Republican primary because that is more interesting than the contest between Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders, where Sanders is somewhat heavily favored.
Major, so what are those candidates doing to drum up some last-minute support from those folks who might be undeclared or who are standing in line and haven't made up their minds yet?
That's a very good question, Vlad. I'm glad you asked, because every vote counts, and those candidates are going to come to this very high school, and as people park or walk in, they're going to say, hey, I'm here, I'd love to have your vote, because, and this is another fascinating element of New Hampshire presidential primary politics. Now, this isn't in any real exit polling data, but it is anecdotal, and I'm telling you, campaigns believe it. They estimate up to 12% of total turnout today will decide walking into the polling place or standing in line getting ready to cast a ballot. And when that's the case, you come to the polling place, you make your pitch, and you hope for the best.
There's also a lot of talk about weather when it comes to these sorts of things. And I know the weather is not so great where you are. It's pretty freezing. It snowed. Do you think it's going to have an impact? Or, you know, maybe New Hampshire voters are hardier than we are here in New York. Yeah.
They are pridefully hardier by far, and I don't expect weather to have any effect on turnout whatsoever. It's always funny. Whenever I come back up here, I'm reminded of an old New England saying. I'll be standing at a convenience store, something will be like 4 degrees outside, the wind will be blowing about 30 miles an hour, I'll be shivering and I'll make some comment, and someone will inevitably say, yeah, we'll just wait till winter arrives. I mean, they take their winter seriously here. And yeah, there's a little bit of dusting of snow this morning. Some of the side streets are a little bit icy, but that in no way, shape, or form, I don't believe, is going to deter anyone who wants to show up from casting a ballot today. These people not only take the primary process seriously, they're well accustomed to New England weather, so I don't think that's going to be an issue at all.
Chief White House Correspondent Major Garrett. Major, it's going to be an exciting day. We're going to be checking in with you all day long and all evening long as well. Thanks so much for talking to us.
You got it.